Okay, so the LILJ is joined here this afternoon by South Side Boys Lacrosse head coach Steve DiPietro, who guided his team to just an unbelievable historic season this past spring, leading them to their first state championship in 20 years. And Coach DiPietro, how's it going? Just want to thank you again for taking some time to join me here this afternoon.
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So just kind of want to have a chance here to talk to you for a little bit and just kind of have you really just relive the unbelievable season that you guys had over at Southside and just kind of talk about just the season overall. Of course, a historic finish for you guys, uh, how it ended in the state championship game and really that entire playoff run. But just before we kind of get into the playoffs and how it finished, if you could kind of take me back just to the start of the high school season with the group of guys that you had going into the beginning of the 2024 season. You had a team that was very senior heavy, so I'm sure there's a lot going into this season, knowing that it's going to be the end for a lot of your guys. So just talk about being on the doorstep the last couple years of getting out of Nassau County, and like how did you feel going into the start of the 24 season with the group of guys that you had?
Obviously the bitter disappointment of the semifinal loss in 23 certainly was a lot of fuel for not only the coaching staff, but the players alike. Again, that championship level journey, with this group really has taken place over a lot of years. Obviously, their sophomore year, getting over the hump of the semifinals to play an extremely talented Manhasset team that was loaded, that was a lesson learned. And then junior year for them, having a very successful regular season. I think, and Calhoun had a tremendous run with the players that they had. And that was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow because obviously we thought we had a lot more left in the tank for us, which didn't happen. So that was a little bit of a setback, obviously. And I think coming into their senior year, both, in the football and lacrosse side of it was really a no regrets type mantra and attitude. And you have to fall on your face and be a little unsuccessful before you could be successful. So I think, we're leading into the season knowing that the Power League was going to be in effect and our schedule was going to be brutal. And, there was a lot in front of us. I think it was just a challenge that the coaches and the players all were willing to accept and excited about, embarking on.
Now, like talking about the Power League and that being the first time that there was a power conference for Nassau boys lacrosse, and like you talk about the schedule that you guys had during the season, do you think that in any ways kind of really helped shape you guys and get you guys ready for the postseason? Because you guys had some signature regular season wins on your schedule, like beating Garden City and Manhasset. That's the first time in the history of the program beating those two teams in the same season. So you feel that like playing against those teams like that during the regular season and getting some statement wins, do you feel that that kind of shaped you guys going into the postseason?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, look, Nassau County has some of the best lacrosse in the country. And obviously, the league that we were in is probably one of the top leagues in the country. And, for our guys, I think they really approached every game as a game by game type season. Obviously, the A schools that we played, everyone that was in the Power League, we have a history with. And, each one of those wins gave us a little more confidence. It obviously showed areas that we needed to work on in some circumstances. And I think it absolutely battle tested us. Now that it's over, looking back, that we were able to escape most of it without a lot of injuries and everything else. I would say, it definitely was a big plus. And I think, the kids just grew in confidence, with each win that we had. And even in the one loss that we had, I think that taught us a lot as well. And it got our guys refocused and any ideas of, whether we were getting a big head or feeling like it was a given. That certainly got us refocused and, kind of was the springboard from there kind of for the rest of the season.
Now you guys, you go into the playoffs, you guys get the one seed in Class B in Nassau County, and you guys get to that county final. You're playing against Manhasset, who you were able to beat during the regular season. But like you mentioned, you played them in the county final a couple years before that and came up a bit short. But just being able to get that win in the county final and win Nassau County Class B. Just kind of talk about that feeling and being able to represent Nassau County Class B in the Long Island Championship.
I mean, it's such a huge accomplishment. I mean, if you look over the years, the teams that have won not only county championships, but state championships, those teams that lose in the finals or the semifinals, all the years we've had heartbreak games against Garden City and against Manhasset, and they've gone on to win state championships. Some years we were a goal away from them or two away from them. So there are a lot of teams that don't end up getting any accolades or anything and being, right there at the top with the team. So it's a credit to Nassau County. It's a credit to the conference. So it means everything to be able to get out of the county. That is the big accomplishment. So to be able to do it against a story program like Manhasset, obviously Keith runs an amazing program there. And it was an overwhelming feeling to finally be able to get over the hump. For us, our community, our kids, our alumni, it meant the world.
Now you guys, you get past Manhasset, you win the counties, and you get to the LIC, and you guys are going up against a juggernaut in East Islip. And that was a rematch going back to football as well. So that kind of tied in, which I'm sure that had to be really cool. And I'm sure for so many of the guys on your team that play football at Southside as well, having maybe that sting or like the pain of losing in the LIC to East Islip in football, was that kind of some extra motivation, do you think, for you guys, like going into the lacrosse LIC, knowing that there's another chance to face East Islip and get a win in the Long Island Championship?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we had 19 players that were on the football team, and during that football Long Island Championship, Coach Zumo and I are good friends, and we were standing in the end zone during the warm-ups of that game, and we were talking all about how many guys he had 22, I had 19. And all we were talking about was hopefully we could run it back in the spring and we could see each other, in the Long Island Championship. So the fact that we were able to both hold up our end of the bargain and make that happen was really cool. And he's a class act and they're a class organization. But obviously, yeah, all our guys were certainly fired up for that game and to be able to avenge that loss on the other side of things. So it was just a tremendous game by both teams.
Yeah, that was just a really great game. Hofstra was definitely packed for both schools. Just an unbelievable atmosphere, and you guys really played a great game. I thought Mike Melkonian at the face-off X, of course, he was huge for you guys all year, and like he just had an unbelievable game helping you guys get off the island and win the Class B Long Island Championship. So you guys get off the island, and your playoff run continues. And then after like the regional semis, you guys get to the New York State semis up at SUNY Albany, and that's where you guys kind of become these comeback kids with these unbelievable comeback wins. You guys are down by 5 goals against Yorktown in the second half, and you guys stage a monster comeback against them. And Yorktown, of course, you guys knew the team that they had going in. And their goaltending was unbelievable with Hunter Mezzatesta, the 2026. But you guys are able to come back from down 5 against Yorktown in the state semis. But like, what was just kind of like the mindset for you guys as that game is going on? And you guys are down, but certainly not out. So what are you guys kind of thinking about in real time as you guys are down by 5, kind of getting late into that game?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a signature win against a signature program, and I would have much rather not be in that position and have to come back by that much. But our guys showed resiliency all year and never quit in all the games in the Power League and the non-league schedule. So I do think those things helped prep us a little bit. But all the coaching staff really tried to tell them, at that point when it was 7-2 with a minute 54 left in the third, was just about grinding it out and little plays leading to big plays. And I really didn't think we were playing poorly. I thought their goalie was outstanding. We had good movement. We had good opportunities. And, obviously their goalie was coming up with some huge saves. So, we just tried to keep it positive and really focus on, again, each face-off, each ground ball, each possession, to try and just, turn little plays into big plays and keep trusting the process. And, to the credit of our kids, somehow we scored 4 goals in that last minute 54 to make it a game 7-6. And we just kind of took off from there. again, another class program, class coaching staff. And yeah, that was a game I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
Was that something that you were kind of preaching to your guys? Like you talk about, like you thought you guys were actually playing well. It's just sometimes you have to tip your cap to the other side. Like, were you just trying to let your guys know, like guys, like we're playing a good game here. Like sometimes things they may not break our way, but like we got to keep grinding. Like this game's not over yet.
That was it. The kids were grinders all year and, grinding it out. And that's, there was no yelling in the huddle. There was no ripping any of the guys. It was just all about, again, the next ground ball's got to be us. The next possession's got to be us. The next opportunity we get has to be a high quality opportunity. And, they're going to start to fall. And as soon as the first one did, and then we had a man up goal, and then Melk came down, and then, everybody, it was just such a team effort all across the board, defensively, offensively, special teams, that allowed us to crawl back into it and then take the lead and be able to finish it off in storybook fashion there.
So you guys get the unbelievable comeback win against Yorktown, and that's a game, of course, that everyone will remember for the ages. Not even thinking that that game will be upstaged just a couple days later in the state championship game against Victor. So you guys once again trailing by 5 goals in the second half, now in the state championship against Victor. And that's a program from Class B that they had been in the state championship game the last few years already against Garden City, but now facing you guys. And just again, kind of take me through just your thoughts as that game is progressing. And again, trailing in the second half. Is it more so now telling the guys like, hey, we've been here before. We were here just a couple days ago. Like this game's not over. We're down, but we're not out. Like what's kind of going through your mind, and what are you telling the guys as that game is going on?
Yeah, exactly. You just hit it on the head. Certainly in my mind, with the type of team that Victor had, and watching how they took that lead and some of the things they were able to do, I'm not going to lie. I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, man, like we could get blown out here if this keeps up like that. And, same thing. We called the timeout. We tried to settle them down. And that was the exact message. It was just kind of like, hey, guys, we just did this a few days ago. I'd rather not. But, there's no reason why we can't do it again. And basically reiterated the same exact thing about little plays into big plays. And, there were so many unsung plays. And, you have to be so lucky and opportunistic to, win the whole thing. And, there were 4, 5, 6, 7 plays in that game that if any one of them went a different way, maybe the outcome is different. But, whether we were a team of destiny or we created our own luck, the guys just made outstanding plays when we needed them and were able to chip and get back into it. And, and to win it in the fashion that we did, again, same thing. Like you didn't think you could top the Yorktown game. And, somehow we did.
So as you guys are down by 1 in that game with the 14 seconds left, and you get the timeout, and then it's Aiello who winds up tying the game with 0.8 on the clock. Like as you're coming out of that timeout, like is the play like designed for Aiello, like to come around and kind of dove right in front of the cage for that goal? Like did it end up going the way you worked out, or
nope,
was it kind of like unscripted a little bit?
Not at all. We had set something up just to try and free him up a little bit, to try and get a little bit of a stack up top and get him a pick to get him some space. But when it didn't work out exactly the way, they didn't play it exactly the way we thought they were going to, then Michael just did what he does. He carried it behind. Obviously, I was a little nervous we were going to run out of time. But, earlier in the game, he had beaten the defenseman on that inside roll 2 earlier times. So he just took him out a little wide. And when he made the turn, was able to protect the stick with his body well. And, thank the gods that the clock operator, was on point with it. And we were able to get that one in before it went to zeros.
Yeah, I mean, that was just unbelievable. I remember I was up at Cortland covering the girls states, but we had our team down at Hofstra, and I was like tapping through our social media. And then like on the game tying goal, like we got the reaction of guys on the sideline as it was scored, like just, oh my gosh, like everyone just unbelievable, like just freaking out, couldn't believe what they just saw. And then you're fortunate enough to obviously get the tying goal, go into overtime, and you win the face-off. Melkonian wins that opening face-off. You guys get the only possession of OT, and it happens to be your son Cole scoring the game winner to seal the state championship, the first one in 20 years. So like as it's happening, I mean, could you just kind of take me back to your emotions as Cole scores the game winner? It's like that's something out of a Hollywood script. Like you couldn't even fathom that coming to reality.
Yeah, I mean, it is a dream. I don't know if it's really fully sunk in yet. When he scored to take the lead 10-9, I had actually in my own mind, I didn't say it to anybody, but at that point, I was at peace with however that game ended. If we didn't end up winning it, just the character of the kids and the staff and the way they handled themselves to come back from 8-3 when we took the lead at 10-9 and the crowd and the electricity and everything that was going on, I really was at peace however it ended. Obviously, I wanted it to end our way, so that the boys had that dream storybook ending. But I was just so proud of the effort to fight back again and to be able to take the lead against a team like that, where, again, we had no business being in the game at that point. Just spoke volumes to the kids and their character and how much I love those guys. So, when it got into overtime, again, it really wouldn't have happened without a great ride as well. Melconian won it and came down. He got checked, and one of their defensemen picked it up along the sideline for a half a second before, Aiello got the check and the ball went out of bounds and we had it. So in my mind, I was debating a timeout the whole time when Melconian was running down, when the ball came loose, when the check, but when we got possession back, we were kind of as a staff quickly with Coach Martello and I were talking about maybe calling it. And then like right off the sideline, like a dream, they really didn't get in defensively as much as they probably should have. They left Michael kind of hands free. They left Liam with hands free. And Cole, to his credit, came on the field on the sub and found a little seam. And I guess there was a miscommunication among their defensemen of who was playing who. And he was able to flash in that spot. And, Liam gave a good look. And he was able to put it in and finish. And then it was just a blur after that. To be honest, when it actually happened, I didn't even know that it was Cole. I was literally turning to Coach Martello, debating a timeout. And before I knew it, the ball was in and everyone was going bananas. And, I didn't know until we were celebrating that it was Cole that actually scored it. So, just an overwhelming feeling on every level as a coach, as a father, for the program, for the team, for the alumni, for the community, just, all those years of being so close and having been part of the '04 championship and experiencing that as an assistant, just relief and overwhelming happiness.
Yeah, I mean, it was just seemed like just sheer pandemonium and just pure joy from the entire team, of course, the fan base, just the community, just like an unbelievable ending to a storybook season. And talking about alumni actually, just kind of like what are some of the ways that you'll remember this team for? Of course, like you guys are champs, so that's first and foremost. But beyond that, because this is a team that I'm sure will be celebrated for years to come, like 10-year anniversary, 20-year anniversary, so on and so forth. So, like, what's going to be your lasting memory about that 2024 group?
Obviously being my son's grade, we actually go all the way back to when these seniors were 4 years old. Myself, Tom Aiello, who's the head coach at Cary, and Mike Muscarella, the three of us kind of got them together at 4 years old, and 21 out of the 27 seniors have been together with us through they were young, playing on our RBC Future program together. And of the 24 kids that were on that team, 21 came to Southside and all stayed together. So it really was a long, long time in the making with this group. So obviously it takes on a special meaning for it to be my son and all of his best friends and some of my best friends. So that's one side of it. And then, we explained to the kids when it was over that, this puts them in such select company. The 2004 state championship, I've been on a group text with all of them for, 15 years, 20 years. And, those guys couldn't have been happier and excited about having a champions dinner and getting to know those guys and helping them get jobs when they get out. And, it's such a tight group. And we tried to even explain to the kids on the bus leaving from the game that they really don't have any idea just yet what this truly means as far as us being connected to them and them being connected to us forever. And like you said, having those reunions, coming to the alumni games, meeting their future wives and future kids, and, you know, the '04 group and the '24 group being connected forever. And, you know, it just goes on and on. And like I said, I don't think they grasp the magnitude of it yet. But I think as each year passes by, it'll become more and more special to them. And like I said, the fact that, you know, as a father and as a coach, it's, you know, I probably should just retire at this point, because I don't think you could write it up any better. But, you know, we love the group that we have back, and we think we could continue doing some special things over these next few years. And, you know, we're going to get back at it. But obviously, you know, this is a season and a team that will go down forever as maybe one of the best in Nassau County ever.
Well, Coach DiPietro, I just want to thank you again for taking some time out of your day to talk with me just about the unbelievable season that you guys had this past spring. And again, congratulations on that state championship. And again, just thank you so much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. And really looking forward to covering Southside again in the 2025 season. It's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate us giving the platform, and thank you for all you guys do for covering the game in Nassau County on Long Island.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot.